Welcome to Wizard Team, a magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. First up, we're reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and today we're discussing Chapter 5.
But previously on Wizard Team. So Amari gets grounded for like for putting her hands on that one girl, even though it was justified, but her mama taught her to have some home training. So it was really for not having home training and not for like that, even though the girl deserved it.
Out in the street.
Yeah. But yeah. So she's grounded, but then she realizes she has to sneak out because she's been nominated for this thing that she still doesn't really know what it is, but like she has to go to this interview. So in order to yes, she's been nominated by her brother for something that she has to go interview for, and then but in order to do that, she has to wear this like really horrible suit. It's green and purple. And for some reason she doesn't think she could just put it in her bag and like take it to the spot and then change. She's like, no, I gotta put it on right now. So even though she's supposed to like sneak out of her apartment, she is super conspicuous in this suit. Her mom is definitely going to find out what happened, and she got roasted all the way to the bus stop. So she's, healthy confidence boost before she goes to interview for a job that she doesn't know about. She doesn't really understand. And then we also meet her friend Jaden, who is very nice to her. And even though he too would like to know what's going on with this suit, but we just kind of learn a little bit more about him and the ways that like Quentin helped him out. And it was also just like, again, like a missing part of their community. So Amari kind of has Jaden promise her that he won't do anything like super bad. I think she says like that will like jeopardize his future until she can get Quentin back. And then Jaden promises, and that's where we like ended the last chapter. So she goes to this office building, which is like, it's a Saturday, it's like super busy. And so the difference, like we were talking about a lot last week about like Black people when they see you looking a mess and how they're going to say something. And in this case, she's like walks into this building and people are looking at her, but they're like not saying anything. They're just like, that's weird. And then they just keep going. So that was like a funny like contrast back to back. But the security guard sees her and knows exactly what she's there for and just like waves her through. So she's like walking up thinking the security guard is going to stop her and be like, what are you doing here? What do you have on? But I think he like smiles too and is just like, go on.
So it says these chapters are not that long. Why can't I? Yeah. Stranger the guard just smiles and waves me through, no questions asked. And I think it's funny because I just read that as like, some office buildings you go in and you're like, and the guards literally just were like, whatever, and you're like,
yeah,
okay. I didn't think about the fact that he obviously like probably knows with her like suit and everything, like he might be someone from the bureau and who's like there, and so recognizes what she's actually going to do. I didn't think about that until you just said it.
Yeah, I assumed he was a plant from jump. Because, like, maybe he wouldn't ask, like, I felt like if somebody walked in and then, like, especially because I think she said, like, there's a business conference or something, so there's clearly a lot of adults in this building and they're, like, working. And then here comes this kid in this suit. Like, I would have questions if I didn't already know what was going on.
Yeah.
I would just like to note that I have the British version of this book, and they omit this whole thing with the security guard. So I don't know if British people just don't tend to have security guards who question children in buildings. I don't know, but it's completely erased.
That's interesting
from being in this book.
I also just want to note, because I was talking to a friend because I got tickets to go see Black Panther, and I was like, I haven't been to a movie theater in a very long time, and she was like, I'm really scared about mass shooters. And I was telling her, well, no, we're going at 8:30, and we're going to one of those like more expensive ones where you have your seat. And I feel like if a shooter was going to come, they'd go to like an AMC at the mall. And so I was like, point of story, I also have thought about mass shooters. And I'm thinking about the fact that like they don't think about mass shooters in Britain because it's not really a thing. So maybe they decided to take that out because it really wouldn't make sense. But they have doormen.
They have doormen.
Stuff like that. So
and it's also set in Atlanta. Like it's not set in.
It's not set in. Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so she is basically, so because there's hella people, she is having a hard time getting into the elevator alone because she has to get into the leftmost elevator by herself. So after a while, she like literally just decides to like sit down and wait until all these people like go by. And then she finally finds her chance, and then some dude like pops up and is trying to get in the elevator, and so she tries to hold the doors, and he's like, "Stop that! I've got a meeting I'm already late for." Which I'm just like, "Okay, sir, you have to get your tone together." Like you could say something else, like, but she tells him that she has a really bad cold, and so ends up like getting him to leave because she's pretending that she's sick, and he is like, you know what, maybe I can wait.
I don't need these problems.
Yeah, he's like, I don't think that COVID like exists in this universe, but
it was written pre-COVID.
Yeah,
but I did write mask advocacy here.
Literally, it's such a weird thing now. Like I always think about even watching things that like came out way before 2020, and like just like, wow, that's a large crowd of people. None of them are masked.
Every crowd scene I've seen, I'm like, why would this really get into each other's faces? Like
come on. Like I'm just like,
there are just things that like we will never, hopefully some of us will just never do again.
Yeah.
And like I always thought about that though, like when I was trying to like think back to like pre-COVID, and that was always a space in which like someone coughed something. If I was in an elevator, I would be like, oh, disgusting. Like you just feel so caged in. So that was like, even like pre-COVID or whatever, I like really, especially kids, I really identified with this man.
My baby brother has had a cold all week, and he's like 19 months. He's like 19 months old, so he does not know anything about covering his mouth or any of that. He just got to get it out. So he's been sneezing and coughing. And I've just been like, every time he does it, we all look at him like, for real? Like,
my niece had a cold.
We're like, really? This is what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be so stigmatized about like coughing openly that
he's not even 2, and we're just like, bro, you good? Like,
my niece had a cough, not a cough. She had the sniffles, I guess is what we would call it. And she sneezed she's at that point where she doesn't really kiss you, but she just like puts her whole face on your face and stays for a while. And since I got my hair retwisted, she's been like, oh, you looking good, auntie, and it's been all up in the hair. So she sneezed in my face, like she was playing with my hair, and then just and I said, ah. And she looked at me like, and then smiled, and I was like, get your
it's like, no,
I mean,
no,
not at all. But at least she's not in daycare, because like the minute kids go to daycare, I'm like,
it's over with.
No, absolutely not.
They were surprisingly able to keep the 3-year-old away, so he didn't get sick. But yeah, a lot of germs.
And the way they be touching each other and
all up in each other's faces,
stuff their hands in their mouths after they've been touching 5 million things.
It's really bad.
And Amari isn't that young.
No, she's like 12, so
So she's at least
She knows
able,
to cover
we
her
can-
mouth when she coughs. Like,
Yeah.
But she also knew that saying that would be gross enough for the man to be like, "Nah, I'm good." Like,
Yeah,
you got
like-
it.
Yeah.
You got.
But she still also is like in that, like, you have a cold and you're 12, so you're in school with, like, who knows what your germs
Right.
have been through.
what
And a
do they
grown man is
mutate
like,
into?
my immune system is not your immune system. And
He's like, I
no.
definitely have to be at work, so I'ma just wait. It's cool. It's cool.
Also, like, why are all these people here on a Saturday?
It's probably a con. No,
Why
it's
are you
not
going to
a con.
conferences on
Like a conference
Sorry.
on a Saturday. It's the worst. It's
a
kinda...
work conference should not be over the weekend.
No.
You get
They
those
do
days
be.
off. They do.
And they
but
do.
I know they
I
do, but they
dislike it.
shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. I'm going to one in next week in 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, I have to figure out my work schedule while I'm at this conference. And I was like, I'm not doing none of this, like, after work hours stuff.
Most of the time, if I'm at a work conference, a work-related conference, that is my work for the day. Like, I might like specifically put like a meeting or something with like people that are related to my like work I'm doing, like happening at the con. But generally, I'm like, no, that's my work day. Like, I have to work. I'm going for like this is for a professional skill development, so that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, like doubling up is trash.
You did not expect for me to answer any emails. In fact, you can get this out of office email bounce to your response to whatever you sent me.
So Amari's alone. The elevator door's shut and she has to press the basement button 26 times. So she does this, and then
Can we talk about how
many times that is to press a button?
Not just that, but like how poorly this elevator design is. And like, semi-spoiler, but elevators kind of play a big role in this book, and it's one of the things that I really love about like the magical quality of this book.
Yeah.
But in terms of having like a secret meeting and you need to go and all this stuff, like, why is it in a building that has this much foot traffic? Even if it is a conference, like, it should never have the capability of being this much foot traffic in a building like that where you have to be alone, hit the button 26 times. Like, do you, like, in a office building, do you know how hard it is to get a elevator by yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get there, but I think that because the office she goes to looks benign and they don't actively, it doesn't have any functioning portions that are part of the magical world, really, that you would have to really get into the office space in order to like know something's off. So I feel like that's their security is no security, which means not looking like anything that needs to be secure.
I get that, but there's also like just like lesser, like, she's like, this is a skyscraper. Like, they're I feel like there's like a medium ground of like a less foot traffic heavy, still mundane building. You know?
Yeah, I think part of it is that like on a different weekend, it probably would be not as much foot traffic.
Right.
Like maybe during the week, but like, you know, these are kids, so you assume that they're in school during the week. So you know what I mean? Like, it feels like
it just
this is
feels like,
a
I mean, we'll
fluke,
get into it a little bit more, but it feels like that office is not like there is like this function of it for Amari, but there feels like there are other uses for that mundane office. And it just, I just think that there's a better system. There's a better system.
I wonder if
Sure.
because it's like it looks like a mundane world kind of thing, because it's like it's more likely that this is where people are coming who don't have any inkling that there's this magical world that exists, and this is the first time they're learning about it. Is here? They're either one trying to build into like this is a professional space. It's not just like a rundown storefront that feels like kind of like backward, like you're not sure about and you're already kind of hesitating. They want to make people feel as like quote unquote normal about being in this space before they go into the very weird, strange space that will happen once we get into the deeper part of the world, which is not this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also thought like maybe, they've been around for a long time and there's like gentrification happening all over like Atlanta, so maybe it wasn't as busy at one point and now there's like just more
Right, like
population
things
of people.
change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they just never changed the building that they were based out of, but like I don't know. I just am unsatisfied with this system.
I also
the
like
26 button times is a good number for like, even if like a child who just like likes to play with buttons is on the elevator, they weren't going to press it 26 times. Like they'll
Right.
press maybe like 20, but not
Right.
26. You know,
and not like I feel like if you're a kid, like you're not pressing the same button.
yeah,
Yeah,
You're
you're gonna
going,
do that
you're
like
going all
throw
up and down the
thing.
thing. Yeah. Yeah. And so I like this part because it's very like, I mean, like it's where the Men in Black kind of thing comes in. It's like very like spy type thing. So after she presses the button, the lights dim, a red beam scans the elevator, and it says nomination form detected. Please proceed. And then the back of the elevator opens up into a hallway. So she's not even going up or down. It literally there's like a door, and she just has to go through into this winding hallway with metal walls, which is like really cool. And also like in some ways I feel like this is a good, like we'll get deeper into it in like this chapter and the next one of just like the introduction to this world. I think this is this part specifically is kind of a good way to like ease somebody into like the more that we'll end up seeing, because like you were saying, Porshèa, like it's not like super like it's weird and it's like cool in some ways and it kind of reminds you of a movie, but it doesn't jump straight into like, here we are, like here's all this stuff you don't recognize and don't understand at all at once. So yeah, so she leans forward, trying to see like where it's going, but she's kind of just gonna have to like go down to do it. So yeah, so she follows the hall, goes into a waiting room, and then finds like there's like this receptionist, and Amari's like, my brother nominated me, and she's kind of like realizing that she still doesn't know what she's been nominated for.
Yeah.
Because Quentin didn't say, like like maybe the delivery person I think like mentioned the bureau but didn't explain what that was. So this whole time she's been like following this thread on like very little information, and really just like the trust of her brother or trust in her brother. But everyone that she talks to knows what she's talking about, which then is like, yeah. And so she's just like, so the lady's like, of course, and says like, our recruiter isn't in. There's a loud crash, and then she's like, oh, looks like he's here, so you can go. Like go into the last office.
And I think, and let me know if I don't, we'll see more of this later, but like we talked a little bit about how this world kind of thrives on secrets and how it's kind of not fair to be kind of thrust in here and not have the background or like, the legacy of all of these things. And I was thinking that like ideally Quentin would not be missing and would walk Amari through this process, right?
Yeah.
But
even still, there are still other kids, I'm assuming, who would be in similar situations.
Right, but and that's what I was thinking. Like, how many kids are getting nominated and having to kind of navigate this with like the bare minimum of information, right?
Like, what was
how many times does this happen?
What was Quentin's experience?
Yeah, like how did he get recruited?
Like who nominated him, and like how much did they let him know? Are you able? Would Quentin be able to like go with her, if he was around? Like, it just made me think about like the ways in which this would work, not only for like kind of legacy or kids that kind of grow up closer to this world, what this process looks like, but like what does it look like for like a Quentin or someone who, like, yes, Amari is in a unique situation because Quentin is missing, And presumably, because it says like they have until from like 12 to 18, I guess, to join this. Presumably, he was waiting a little. He would have waited a little bit longer to introduce her. Maybe she's like 15, 16. Who knows? We don't really know. But like, what she's going through this like completely alone and with bare minimum of information, and it's just like very strange. And there's another part later in this chapter where I was just like,
yeah, it just gets.
I need someone who
it gets like, yeah, it's like somebody just say something. Like, don't just like
I need someone to help
and it's like
her.
a mix of like it's like, you know, when you're like in a conversation with someone or with people and they know all of the context of the thing and you don't, and you're just sitting there like you're lost. Again. No, I'm talking about like, so okay. You come in but you're the only person who has that, right? So you're coming into into a group and no one else has the context. You're the only person with the context. That's different from walking into something and like everyone else knows what's going on and you're having to like figure out
like everyone else is using jargon and you're
right. And you're like, what? Like that's kind of what it is. It's like, so, but, and I say that to say like, they're used to it. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what you don't know and they like assume that everyone just knows what's going on.
And things that are like novel and confusing to you are commonplace to them, so they don't even know to really
like explain it or to like say anything. And I think it's that coupled with the secrecy. So it's also that they're like also used to not saying certain things because of how like locked down they keep it. And so it's like, yeah, it just has like it just is weird. Like it's like one of those like I see how we got here. I don't know that we should be here, but I see like I see the steps.
Yeah. And it just to me is like I was thinking about this because again I was at a child's birthday party yesterday. My 12-year-old cousin, I mean, he's sassy. And that's the only way I can explain this child. He is sassy. Like that's just like if you look in the dictionary under sassy, there's a picture of my little cousin. But he is still like he looks so childlike. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like, oh yeah, you're gonna figure it out on your. I want to protect him, you know, or like just be around and like have adult supervision. And there just seems to be this like, oh yeah, he's not here. Oh, I guess he is here. Go on in. Like walk the baby
right
in the office.
She does not know what is going on.
When you like unaccompanied minors at the airport, and like you walk them to their seat.
Yeah,
just want someone to like
guide her
a little bit more.
Yeah. And like she's so like, it feels like she's very like it feels like, well, we see already, and then like we'll continue to see like she's a very independent kid. Like she is definitely one of those kids who is just like, nah, I got it.
Gets on the bus.
It's also but like you said, it's also like doesn't necessarily mean that she should have to all the time.
Yeah.
And especially when she's entering this world that like she again has no idea what's happening. She's just going off of vibes right now. Very much this crazy suit and vibes. So
yes,
who knows?
Makes me very uncomfortable.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create, a collective providing content through the lens of critical and creative fandom. If you want to support or partner with BNC on projects like Wizard Team, let's build. Find out how at blacknerdscreate.com/support. Okay, so Amari goes into the office. Inside, a desk is in pieces on the floor, and there's like a dude who's standing over the mess, and he is in this suit. So so he has on bright orange pants, traffic cone bright. His shirt is orange too. And then Amari's like, I've seen orange shirts before, but this guy's shirt has the nerve to be covered in orange and brown feathers. And I love, like, in her like commentary, she's like, the nerve, like what? She's like, this fool.
Stylish. Like, not only is he like fluorescent, but he's got the nerve to have texturized feathers on him.
Right. Just, like, you're doing a lot, bro.
I just had the thought that, like, there's no way that Bayana, or especially like Bayana's mom, like, they just wouldn't enter the world on principle at this point. Like, if it would have to be that someone in their family was missing, because I see Bayana looking at this man, like walking in the office, looking at this man's shirt and saying, no. No. Like, looking at that man's shirt, looking down at the suit that she's wearing, and being, and
then suddenly being like, what am I doing here? I'd be like, you know what?
This is where I tap out.
I'm done. I don't even know. I had like just a moment, like, why am I here? Like, what's going on?
Right. I was laughing so hard just thinking about, like, how you would deal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's honestly atrocious. And, like, but I will say, like, reading it, when you get to that part, my head is like, oh, I get what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, you immediately are like, oh, okay, there's clearly a reason. Now we see why she got the suit on. Even before we, like, really get into the suit itself, but, like, you're like, okay, got it. This is the person that she has to talk to, so she's got to meet him where he's at. So he waves her in, is like, I'm cleaning up. He told his transporter to put him at the desk, not in the desk. But it didn't work out.
I want a transporter so bad.
Man, first of all,
my life would be so much better if I had a transporter.
As somebody who is, I'm staring Monday in the face in this Monday commute in the face, and I'm just like, if I had a transporter, man, I wouldn't even have to take my pajamas off to drop off the kid. I'd be like, put you on. You got to school? Great. I'm going back to sleep.
I noted how, like, he got into the mess because of his own irresponsibility. Like, sir, you should know at this point, for as long as you've been dealing with this world, that chewing food while trying to give something a command is not a good idea.
Right.
I was thinking about that. Do you remember that really awesome Got Milk commercial, the Aaron Burr with, like, Ellen Ball, when he has all the peanut butter in his mouth? Y'all don't know?
I don't.
It's an amazing... What?
You have told me about it, but I have not seen it.
Oh my God, I'm going to send it to you after this. It's a Got Milk commercial, and this guy has, like, the entire Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton duel. He's, like, lives in this museum, like, his whole thing, and it's listening to this radio program that's like, the first caller who can tell me who shot Alexander Hamilton will win $1 million. And so he gets on the phone, but he just took a big bite of, like, a peanut butter sandwich. And so when they ask him, he's like, bull. And the guy can't understand him because he doesn't have any milk to clear his... Amazing. It's amazing. So that's what I was thinking about when him taking a bite of steak and then
being like,
doing this command. But
I don't know why, but I was thinking about Hank Aaron. I was like an athlete. Like, why would I remember an athlete being like the only athletes I remember for Got Milk were like Venus and Serena. I do not remember anything.
I can't believe you guys do not know this Got Milk commercial. This is very upsetting. It's like the one thing that advertising got, like, really well done.
I mean, I beg to differ, but yes.
I mean, there's a lot of really great commercials, but this one, maybe because it came out in a formative time, it is a top-tier commercial! Made me want to drink milk!
That's so funny. Sorry.
But she also loves trivia, so that makes sense as well.
Yeah. No, it makes 100% sense why you like that commercial. Right, why it, like, stuck with you.
Yeah.
So Amari starts to introduce herself, but then dude cuts her off and is like, I'm Barnabas, or Mr. Barnabas Ware. Full introduction won't be necessary because this year's summer program already started. And Amari's like, well, I just got the nomination, so, like, how's this work? So he's just like, nah, you're gonna have to, come back next year. But as he's telling her this, he keeps her suit and is like, is that suit a genuine Du Bois? And Amari is like, I don't know what that means. So we find out that this suit is like, it's from this like famous fashion designer. And then, this man is like, would you mind removing the jacket? I'd love to try it on. And I'm just like, you do not know her.
Can we back it up a slight bit?
Yeah.
One, the designer's the same designer that he's wearing. So, like,
first of all,
that's
yes.
hilarious. That's hilarious. Two, the man touched the jacket before he asked her to take it off.
Right.
So, sir, consent?
Right, please.
This is a 12-year-old. You're touching the clothing they are currently wearing.
Can I try on your jacket? No.
Sir.
If the suit itself didn't get me when I walked in the door, that would have had me out.
Like,
you know what?
Like, you just can't be touching me.
Go.
Cut the cameras. Like, I'm done. But Amari's like, okay, sure, whatever. She's like, I don't know. So she says, it's strange that anyone would be interested in this ugly thing except for maybe wanting to burn it and dance on the ashes. But then this guy is comfortable wearing orange and brown feathers. I slide off the jacket and hand it to him. So now I'm also picturing him putting this jacket on over the ensemble he already is wearing and just like the eyesore. Like,
I love the shade that she threw there because she was like, this should be ashes.
Yeah.
But he already has questionable fashion choices. So this just is right up his whole style, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like the shade of it all. Like this man has no taste in Amari's head. I just love it.
I feel like Amari is also like, I mean, if you trying it on, that means I'm not wearing it for a little bit.
Right,
so.
Exactly. Like I look a little less ridiculous. So he puts it on and it like fits perfectly. So we find out that Du Bois has like a one size fits all feature, which is like actually dope. If it wasn't so hideous, like it's a really dope like thing to have.
Traveling pants magic.
Yeah, exactly, literally. So like you find out like apparently there are a lot of knockoffs, but Du Bois is the only one that like has it, which also makes me think that like I don't know.
Proprietary.
I guess, but then it's like, okay, do you have any other like chill fashions or like what's going on here? I just feel like you can't.
Who do non-flamboyant patterns,
right? Because
I will say I forget which one it was, but there was a jean company that like had great fitting jeans, but they always had like sequins or just something that was just like was it apple bottom? No, I don't know what they were, but it was always like they were just like a little bit off. It was like the fit perfect, but if you could just make a jean with the
just
fit,
regular jean,
just
I don't need all the embellishments.
Yeah. I don't need the rest of the stuff. I forget who it was. It was a clothing company that I remember being like,
you're so close.
So close.
So Mr. Ware talks about how his outfit is from the tropical collection, Essence of a Sandy Parrot.
Of course.
Like, good for you, bro.
Why not?
Who in their right mind has ever looked at a parrot and was like, yo,
that right there, that's what I'm trying to wear.
Whole summer resort wear collection based on feathers, fluorescent feathers and sand. That's what I want to do.
I mean, it's working for Du Bois.
It's working for his followers because his followers are hardcore, apparently.
Man. So he goes, now you might be wondering why it is I have on vacation attire. So apparently he's been on vacation and then he receives an urgent message that a child was added to the list and no one was in the office. So he's salty because I mean I would be too because apparently Bethesda Greengrass was like, nah, I'm not coming.
My tiger.
Like not even like, oh, I gotta answer emails on vacation. Like, no, I gotta transport to the office from wherever he is, where he gets to wear tropical attire, and be in the office to check some kid in.
How much did he save up for that essence of feather?
Okay.
Fit to just waste it by going back to the office.
He was TikTok ready. He had a date, like he had every day flicks or whatever. He had Get Ready With Me resort wear edition ready for him for his vacation. And here he was like on day 2 or 3, and his office is like, oh, yo, so we need someone to cover your space because your coworker who's supposed to be there, she ain't there. So you need to pop on in. And
because for some reason she can't not adopt tigers as pets.
Like, and you'll get there. But for me, I was just like, this is why I bench who I bench at the end of the chapter, because I'm like, nah. There's one thing I'm gonna stand up about is about workers' rights, because you can't take my good vacation time from me,
right? Because
of your lack of planning, right? And the fact that he says
lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Mm-hmm. No. And
I will say though, if I lived in this world, I would totally be this coworker who, like, except instead of tigers, it would be like Robyn adopted herself a goddamn wolf again. Because, man, is that a thing that we can do? Like, do y'all know how much I want a wolf?
I mean,
no, I don't know that I knew that.
No, neither.
They're just big puppies! Oh my god, they're huge puppies!
Not,
and they play
mall?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a wolf. Like, I don't know if it was true, because now I feel like our auntie Robyn was like, I saw a coyote. I was driving in the hills and I saw I was like, okay, maybe it's just, and I went by, you know what I mean? But it was like by itself.
You saw a coyote. You didn't see a wolf.
Probably. I must have seen a coyote, but I like legit saw a coyote and I was like, that's crazy. Cause
those are huge. But
they're
the difference
big.
is that coyotes are mean. Like, they just have a bad
if it was a wolf or a coyote, I was still driving. I was continuing minding my business.
It was a coyote. We don't have wolves.
I think the coyotes are small.
No.
They're not small?
They're smaller.
Foxes are small.
I know foxes are small, but I thought coyotes were like around, like, not that much bigger than foxes or dogs.
Mm-mm. They're bigger than dogs.
It was like dog size. It was like a bigger dog size.
Some of them, depending on also like the type of coyote, some of them can be like 30 pounds. But the ones that we have in the bay are bigger. Because I don't know if I told you about the time that me and Luna were on a walk and someone was like, "Oh, be careful! There's a coyote that's like in the neighborhood." Oh, and then Luna was like, "Oh, we playing?" And I was like, "Nope,
nope." Now I literally like just now remembered that I saw that coyote, because I saw it and I was like, I'm listening to Renaissance. I'm just going down. The road is windy. So I literally like looked at it, like kind of made eye contact, but I was still driving. And then I forgot like almost immediately. So
yeah, but anyway, so coyotes are kind of mean, and that's mostly because they are urban animals. And so, humans suck, whatever.
Yeah.
Wolves generally are very close to like dogs. They'll avoid us, like they don't mess with us, but mostly they'll just like run away. But if you see the wolves that have been like raised in like reserves and habitats and stuff like that, they're just big cuddle monsters, and I want one, and they'll like roll around and then they like yip. Oh.
So what Robyn's saying is she would be a Thesda Greengrass.
She would be a Stark. She would be a House Stark. She could, like, not only would she have a wolf, she would have dire wolves.
A dire wolf.
And she'd just be running around with a dire wolf pack.
So yeah, so Mr. Ware is going on a whole rant about his coworker, and Amari is like, okay, please give me some answers. Like, she has to interrupt. So she asks how the jacket fits him, and he's like, well, an enchantment, of course, a patented enchantment. And Amari's like, as in magic? So Mr. Ware's like, yeah. So again, like, they're just kind of just like not explaining things.
Just very matter-of-factly.
Yeah. So he asks, like, where she got the suit. Amari explains. And then Mr. Ware. So basically, Mr. Ware ends up like being like, okay, I'm not usually one to break the rules, but you have such taste that I gotta help you out.
And you let me wear it.
And you let me wear it. So Quentin knew what he was talking about. I don't. It's very unfortunate, but
yeah, Quentin knew that like it was coming. It was the timing was off. Because like he knew what time of year Amari's school ended and what time of year the camp starts. So he knew that she was gonna need some kind of buffer to get over the whatever the obstacles she would face in this. And he was ready for, but not only like did Quentin set up somehow someone going and talking to the Greengrass or whatever? Because how did he know this particular agent who is a fan of Du Bois would be the one to talk to Amari?
Yeah, I mean, I had assumed that he didn't, but like maybe he knows because it seems like there's only 2 people in this office.
Right, like unless that's
so
just
either
also
Homegirl is also
fan.
Unless she's also an enthusiast, but it was maybe just like a 50-50 situation. Yeah. Can't account for everything, but he sure tried. It would suck if it didn't come in handy. All that just for it to not work.
I feel like Amari was like, "You want this shirt? You want these pants?
Right? Like, come
pass
on.
me a whole other outfit. Let's go."
So then, okay, so Mr. Ware says, "It's my job to offer you a spot in our rather unique summer camp." And then you find out, like, he can't actually tell her anything about the summer camp until she says that she is gonna go. And then she says yes, she's obligated to attend for the summer.
This is the most anti-Black thing I've ever read in my life.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like,
and this is where I was talking about like unaccompanied minoring Amari, because this is the most antithetical to everything that you would ever teach a child.
Yep. Because it's essentially like signing a contract without reading it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally said, I literally was like, yeah. I literally wrote in my notes, I was like, this is fine for Amari because she has to find Quentin. So like, regardless of what the stipulations are, like she's going to do that anyway. But generally, nah. Like, it's like, this can't.
I wrote in my notes, like, if Amari's brother wasn't missing, I would find this, like, this would take me out of the world of the book. I would immediately be like, no. No.
Right.
And the other thing that is sad about it is that she's trusting in her brother. The only thing she has to guide her is her brother's judgment. And the only thing that she knows, and she talks about it, is that this is dangerous. Like, that's the only she knows. So it's like, this is based on your brother's judgment, and the only thing you know is that there might be magic involved and that it's dangerous. Right. And that's like, that is so unfair because she doesn't even have a chance to like get at least a minimum of like understanding, like where it's like, oh, you can come back if you like have other, if you want to like
questions, or you want to think about it,
talk to an adult or whatever. No, this is your one and only chance. So either you're going to do it now or you're not going to do it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I really like about this book is that in this introduction to this world, like there's some really cool stuff. And it's very easy to like get swept up in the fact that like some of the stuff that we're getting to see is really dope. But there's also just like very clear hints that this place is not like some magical utopia. Like it's a bureaucratic like mess kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of things that don't really make sense, or things that are honestly not great policies, and like all of these things you see up front, like we're only in chapter 5, so you see those things and we're obviously going to get deeper into it, but I like appreciate that we see them both at the same time, so it's not like, oh, we're getting blindsided by all the dope stuff and then later we go in and as you get deeper you find out things aren't like too great. It's like, no, you kind of see the pros and cons as you're entering the world, and then as like the world becomes expanded, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, no, I saw that back in the first couple chapters when like Amari is having to like sign this verbal contract with literally 2 scraps of information.
I also think that like you talk about like the way like people of privilege like just don't think about things. Like someone was talking about when they tried to the app Grinder, and they tried to like open it up for like straight people and women, and it was like, because Grinder's like locations will literally be like, this person that you've matched with is 14 feet from you. Like they're like, it's not like less than a mile. It's like, is it 200 feet? Oh, you know what I mean? And so like women are like, hell no, am I letting someone be like that able to like know my location, right? Or when you think about like when like any woman ever has like talked to a guy or talked to their friends that like, oh, I'm going to meet someone, and they're like, please call me if you can get a picture of their license, like whatever. Right. And then you say the same thing to a guy, right? And a guy's like, wait, what? Because they don't think about that because it's not a danger. But to us, it's like inconceivable, right?
Yeah.
This to me was like, I'm not surprised if we find that this world very closely resembles the school that Amari has these troubles in, because this is inconceivable to like, and again, what was Quentin going through and who helped him through this process when he started? Because how the this is so just like red flag.
Yeah. Even rich kids,
any like, you know,
yeah, but even like
group.
Even rich kids, even kids who have like any level of like someone who has a legal understanding of the world is taught better than to like agree to something without knowing what they're agreeing to. Like that's like just like a basic, like if anyone has any knowledge about like what you shouldn't do, never do something, never agree to do something without knowing what you're going to get into.
Yeah, totally. And again, for Amari, there's like the stipulation that for her, whether she knows or doesn't know, she's going to do it anyway, because it's the only way for her to only way for her to figure out what happened to her brother and how to save him. So it's definitely one of those things where you're like, yo, no, like don't do it. But then you're like, nah, but it's like, and like, honestly, she goes through that too. Like when she asks if it's dangerous, and like she, for her, it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I have to do it regardless. And so, she looks at Mr. Ware and she says, I accept. And
again, it's also chapter. Like really interesting because Amari is interested in this world and is like fascinated by this, but like her ultimate goal is to find Quentin. So it's not really to join this world. Like she's still got one foot outside of it.
Right.
But
right, like I think that if it was just a regular situation and she was just like invited to join this thing that she doesn't know and Quentin wasn't like in danger or whatever, then I think she'd probably be like, nah, I'm good.
I think her having to put on a suit would have been her. She's like, nah, I'm not going.
Yeah, it's like, this is a lot. Like, what am I getting out of this for real? So yeah, so like having like the stakes for her be high enough for her to do stuff that it just does not seem like it would be in her character to do otherwise, like I think is really important for this. Okay, let's talk about MVPs. I said Amari mostly because like this is some BS kind of, and she's just like growing through it and she's kind of taking it all in stride. And just like her like dedication to finding her brother and being like, nah, we're just like, we're gonna do it. Like, I appreciate that. So she's my MVP.
I had Quentin as my MVP. I think like it's one of those things where you get a sense of like, from Amari's perspective, of like how well respected and liked Quentin is, and you can kind of see the ways in which he's like charms people in the like, okay, you're gonna have to talk to Mr. Ware. Because think about the fact that if Mr. Ware, how lucky Amari is. Well, we don't really know, but I'm assuming that if Miss Greengrass was actually about her shit and was covering her the job, the Du Bois suit wouldn't go as far, because Amari doesn't really comment on the receptionist's outfit, right? So this is like very much a like, you gonna wear the suit and instantly Mr. Ware is going to be on your, be more be on your side, I guess.
Yeah.
And so just like setting her up for success in this way, like I don't like how this has gone about, but he's missing, and so he doesn't really get to control that. But like he did very much plot out, like, if I'm not able to actually be there and help you through this process, I'm gonna set you up for success and like the best possible outcome. So I like his planning and like being able to like use his charm and knowledge of people to help Amari out.
I also made Clinton MVP for the same reasons, setting her up for success and everything. I also want to note that, for better or worse, it seems like one of Quentin's good and like something he's really good at is selling things while even being in the room, and that is a skill and a talent that I don't have and or don't think that I have and admire. And that he's not in the room, but he's selling the guy on Amari and giving her a chance. He's selling Amari on this whole endeavor because she has sadly because she has no other choice. Like he's able to like execute things without even being there, and that's a skill that should not go unremarked on. So MVP.
Yeah.
Benched. So I think I said in the last chapter, or last episode, I want to bench like specific people. The Bureau was wilding in this one, so like my like parentheses is like Bureau policies, because all of her having to like agree to do this thing with no information, I think is ridiculous. But Thesda Greengrass, because ma'am, why do you keep bringing tigers into your home when there's clearly a policy against it? And then now you got homeboy coming from vacation to pick up your slack, and I just feel like.
And also, tigers obviously don't want to be in your home.
Right. Why tigers don't want to be pets. Like they don't
want to be there.
They're strolling in your neighborhood, and you live among
what are you
regular
doing?
people. Like, what's that about? I think
what is going on?
I loved how the setup of that sentence was like, she keeps having cat problems, so it seems like it's like, oh,
a regular thing.
Yeah,
for me, I'm like, oh, your cat's sick. Like, okay, if you know, like another thing is like, if you got a sick cat at home and you gotta like sometimes do what you gotta do. But nah, it was a tiger, and she was not supposed to have it, so
insane.
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with the elevator system, but they're bitch. It's the elevator system, and this is kind of a spoiler because I will say the elevators in this book from my previous reads probably heavily influenced how annoyed I was by this elevator. I don't know if the first time I read this book, this elevator instructions really like triggered me the way that they did this time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
but I couldn't get past her having to sit her ass on a bench in this suit as a 12-year-old in a busy office building waiting for a free elevator. There has to be a better system. I don't like it. That's all.
For me, I benched capitalism because I am, again, like I said earlier, workers' rights, labor rights. This man has accrued his vacation days and has taken them accordingly. He's befitted himself with the outfits that he was ready to wear while on the beach. He said he was having quite the time. And
with his wife.
With his steak sandwich.
Right. And his boss is going to tell him that he needs to come to this office because they couldn't staff the office properly. So this sounds like a you problem, not a freaking me problem. I did everything I needed to do to have time off. You need to take your butt into the office and recruit this kid, not me. So all of that, the thing that whatever has these people crowding this office building on a Saturday, all the things, it's capitalism through and through. And I hate it. I hate it for everyone. And if it weren't for capitalism, Amari's mother wouldn't be at work on Saturday, would be able to accompany her daughter, would be able to talk through what's going on and be like, I'm not feeling that. So again, capitalism, the ill of all ills. Boo. That's the bitch for me.
She makes points. I know it's not a person, but
people uphold it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next week when we discuss Chapter 6.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create. If you want to keep up with our other content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Twitter. Ooh, do you still want to follow us on Twitter? We're still there for now.
We're there. We'll be there.
At Black Nerds Create, BLK Nerds Create. At Yana Wrote It. At Robyn_Rambles. And at Porshèa. You can follow us on Instagram at Black Nerds Create and subscribe to our monthly magic newsletter on our website. And please do not forget to rate and review this podcast wherever you are listening to it.
Okay, thanks, y'all.
Bye.